Alright, what's going on, guys? Welcome back into another Paladins video. Today's video is going to be to talk about one of the mechanics of the game that it's not well explained within the game. It's actually not even mentioned anywhere. And I decided to do a couple of tests as well to other game modes, not just Siege, which is the mechanic of the comeback mechanic. It's not combat mechanic, as some people say, it's comeback. You know, coming back. And that's exactly what it actually does. This comeback mechanic allows the team that it's usually losing in Siege, only in Siege, and I'll show you why, that they will have this advantage in order to capture the point faster. As it is for pushing the payload, it didn't show any signs of having any alteration whatsoever. But as for the capture of the point, it does show a lot of difference. And in order to also understand this, you must understand that there's different advantage amounts. All right, so just so you know, the maximum of the advantage points that you can have is 2. Since this only applies to capture the point, you cannot have 3 points, because when you're 3-0, this means you're already pushing the payload. Therefore, there's nothing there to help you or the enemies. All they have to do is just try to stop the payload. But if they defend, they become with a losing advantage of 2 points, which means you are winning against them by 2 points. There's also a situation where you could be winning by 1 point, which usually is 3-2, which means that they captured the point when it was 3-1, but then you defended. Because you cannot get the 4th point by defending, you can only get that 4th point in 2 situations, which is delivering the payload, which means you did capture point as your 3rd point, or you need to capture it overall as the 4th point, and that's it. So the only advantages that, you know, the maximum advantage that you can have when capturing the point is either 2, 1, or 0. And of course, this is going to reflect to the enemy team, and that's what I wanted to show you guys here today. So in this next little segment right here, just to show you guys that there's not any difference whatsoever of how many points we already have, I did record, and this is going to be sped up on the screen. It's going to be faster. On the part of the top part of the clip, you're going to be able to see that it's 0-0, and on the lower part it's 1-1. As you can see, the amount of time that it takes to capture the point is exactly the same. All right, so we could be 2-2 or 3-3. It would be the exact same amount of points. It only takes a different approach when it is not even. So if we're talking about a 2-0, maybe a 3-1, 3-2, and so on, that's the only situations where this amount of points or the speed that it takes to capture 100% of the point will change. And I know this, why? After this, I decided to test it out by basically putting a 3-2 score, a 3-1 score, and the normal 0-0 score, which means then in the 0-0 score, there is no advantage, no comeback mechanic whatsoever. On the 3-2, there is a 1 point advantage for the person with 3 points, which means that the enemy, the losing team, is going to have an advantage. It's still there, just by 1 point, but it's still there. And then we have the 3-1, which is an advantage of 2 points, which means it's going to do the comeback mechanic a lot stronger. Now, you may be thinking that this means that you're going to be capturing the point faster, like the ticks are going to be faster, but it's not. It's going to change the amount that you can capture per tick. So usually you would be capturing 3%, all right, if there's no advantage whatsoever, no difference. But with the comeback mechanic, when you're losing for 1 point, it will often, not every single time, but you will often capture 4% instead of 3%. And when you're losing by 2 points, you'll capture more often 4% per tick. All right, not every single time. So I have here a couple of prints after the same point, but with different amounts of points for each one of the teams. I have here a print showing you the exact time. As soon as the first tick came out of the 3%, I took the print. So here you have it, the first one showing 3-3-3. All right, The one on the right side is the one with no advantage, the one on the top left is the one with only 1 point of advantage, and the one on the left underneath is with 2 points of advantage. Now, it could be 3% or 4 on the ones on the left, because that's what I said, it's inconsistent, it's not actually always the same amount. Then on the second print, you can see that the one with 2 points above is now 7% instead of 6. So he gained 4% in that tick. In the next one, we're going to be able to see that the first one had 9%. The one with 1 point of advantage has 10%, and the one with 2 points advantage has 11%. So as you can see here, there's a rate of difference of 1% per each one of them. So it's always different, and it increases more and more over the time. The next one is 12, 13, 15. Then it goes 15, 17, 19, but this doesn't mean that it has always this same amount every single time, okay? Don't confuse yourselves. But this is the prints that I took from this test alone. So then it goes like 18, 20, 23, 21, 24, 27, 24, 27, 31, 27, 31, 35, and then 30, 34, 39. Now, I went all the way to the end and saw how much percentage would we have with only 1 point, losing 1 point to the enemy team, and just stale numbers, 0 to 0, right? How much would we have when, with the 2 points of advantage, with the losing by 2 points, you will reach the 100%, and here it is. So on the left underneath, you have 100%. On the top left, you have 86%, and when the numbers are equal, 75%. So as you can see by this test alone, the usual time that it takes to get to 100%, not every single time, but most of the times, when you're losing by 2 points, it is the same time that usually you'll take to get 75% of the point with no advantage or no winning or whatever. There's nothing changed whatsoever, right? So there is a big difference. And as you can see here on the 3 to 2, by just 1 point of difference, you're already at 86%. So you can see definitely that the more points you're losing, the stronger it is the percentage that you can capture a point, right? Also, funny, interesting fact, I've heard about this before. I knew that it was somehow true, just never actually tested out, but since I was doing this, I decided to test it out. If you are the team who captured the payload and you're pushing the payload and you're near that payload, right? As you can see here, I'm shooting in the sky on purpose so I don't enter the out of combat mode, and nobody's healing me because I was alone. I was healing for 75 HP per second or per tick, I don't know, by just standing alone on the payload. The payload itself was healing me. So the winning team can also have some sort of an advantage. In this case is this specifically, although I don't think that it's like too much. I don't even know why this is even there, but whatever. Like as soon as you hit the out of combat mode, you'll just heal completely, but maybe they just wanted to put something so they wouldn't feel in disadvantage or something. And also, finally, the final comeback mechanic of the game, and this is something that is always there, whether you want it or not, whether you're losing or not. When hitting overtime, you will see that with time, as long as you can activate the overtime, the bar of the overtime will go down faster over the time itself. So it means that this is on purpose so that the team that it's defending at 99% doesn't actually have to defend it for ages, right? So one mistake after a few 30 seconds, 40 seconds or something can give that team with the 99% the final capture, and that's it. This is also very good. I like this mechanic. This is to prevent overextending fights to try to capture the point and then finally you get advantage on destroying it. At least you have a chance to stop the team from completely capturing to 100%, all right? And sometimes without even there's any person on point, the enemy team, but they touched it when you had like 96%, sometimes it will trigger overtime, so be aware for that. Now, why do I know that this is only available on Siege? What you're about to see right now, it is the percentage of my wife who was playing against me capturing the point on top right side. As you see there, I have 300 points already. This is on Onslaught, right? I have 300 points. So I thought, if I have 300 points or 200 or something like that, then maybe she's going to be able to capture it faster, because that should be how comeback mechanic works, right? There's only 1 minute on the clock, 2 minutes actually, so at least give her an advantage to try to come back, right? And there is none. It doesn't exist. As you can see on the under part, that's the time that I took, it took to me to get to the 300 points, but I did cut it off at 200 points because there was not enough time on the match. But I can tell you for a fact that the same amount of time that took me to get 200 points, it took the exact same time for her to capture the 200 points on Onslaught without killing absolutely no one, because in case you don't know, you do get 5 points per kill on Onslaught. Even with me winning, it did not change absolutely nothing. All right. So we got that. Also, interesting fact, I decided to test out the same thing of the payload on Onslaught. Me standing on the point while I was capturing with low HP, shooting continuously into the sky to see if the comeback mechanic would trigger or something, or maybe just the point healing me like the siege was. And then it did absolutely nothing. So there's only that advantage of being healed by the payload on siege, and that's it. All right. I didn't test any of this on Team Deathmatch because there's nothing there to test. There's no comeback mechanic possible there. All right. The only thing that they could do is maybe change, depending if you're losing or not, or by the amount you have, the time that it takes you to go into out of combat. Out of combat. That's what I wanted to say. But there's nothing like that indeed over there, or even on Onslaught. There's nothing in Onslaught, as you can see. I also decided to test out something. After you hit the 300 points, you'll notice that there will be like this gate closing noise, and on your bar of capturing on top, it will appear that it's going faster, but it's not going faster. I tested it out. It's exactly the same amount of points. It's like 1 point per second. All right, so it's the exact same thing. And then I decided to kill my wife to see if it would change, maybe because that little effect was there, maybe that I would get more points because I was already above 300%. Although, to be quite honest, it doesn't really make sense. I was killing my wife and I checked out. I only gained 5 points. It did not change absolutely nothing. And I also tested out with her and she got nothing, all right? It made no absolutely difference on Onslaught. So the combat mechanic only works on siege, and it only works when you're losing. That's about it. The only change, the only difference, the only advantage you can get if you're winning is getting healed by the payload. That's about it. All right. So my opinion, to order to have like a balanced siege match, so you don't end up losing when you're 3-1 and they come back and they manage to win, it's possibly the first point. Try to capture, but don't deliver on purpose. Second point, do the same thing. Try to save some ultimates and so on. And then on the third point, you capture it and you make the most out of it possible to deliver it. If you don't deliver it, you will be 3-3, so there's no advantage for the enemy. All right, so you can do that. And if the enemy is winning like by 3-1, try to force them while they're trying to push that final point, which is the one now for you, but try to force them to use the ultimates, and you yourself try to save all the ultimates that you can on your team, because now on the next fight you will have the advantage of the 2 points. By losing by 2 points, you'll capture the point a lot faster and you'll have a lot of ultimates to use. Try to use them all at the same time, or try to do combos, whatever is necessary to eliminate the maximum amount of people. If you have a chance to eliminate 1 to 2 people, always do that, because 5 versus 3 or even 4 versus 3 is always a lot better than getting there and thinking, oh, we're losing 3-1, we already lost this. Trust me, it's not the first time I'm playing competitive or even just casual. We're losing 3-1 and we still manage to come back and we still win. All right, but that's pretty much it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I will also be coming out with pretty soon with 2 other videos. One of them related to diminishing returns and the other one related to rejuvenate. I have been doing some tests and I want to show you guys the importance of it. So stay tuned for that. If you don't want to miss it, just subscribe to the channel. There's no current giveaways at the moment. We gotta wait for the next patch. So when the next patch comes out, check out my Twitter. Should be there. Link in the description. I usually pin the giveaways into my main page. And I would just enjoy this final kill cam. I did warn a friend of mine, Beam for Hell, that apparently they changed the scorings of the actions you take for the the top place. In this game alone, my wife did not kill me once, and yet she got the top play. While I did kill her, she got the top play doing nothing but sprays. That's how important the sprays are now, so make sure you spray all the time. That's pretty much it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time, and until then, have a wonderful time. Bye bye, guys.